well do you sleep? According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, a majority of us do not achieve restful sleep. So much so that this lack of sleep is being treated as a public health epidemic. But don't despair, because on the program today, we're going to talk with the man credited with coining the phrase, the power nap. Author and international sleep consultant, Dr. James Maas is going to be joining us. And later in the program, we're going to be looking at another epidemic that's sweeping this nation, obesity. We'll find out what's being done regionally to take care of that. Kentucky Outlook is next. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Kentucky Outlook. I'm your host, Barbara Deeb. On the program today, we're going to be talking about sleep as we welcome to the program international sleep consultant, author, and if we spent all the time telling you about this man's credentials, we'd be gone in the half hour. But Dr. James Maas, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Barb. Thanks for having me. This is my first time in Western Kentucky, and I am overwhelmed.
Well, good. That means you'll come back.
I will.
We hope. We hope. We want to talk about sleep today. You have written several books related to sleep, and just from the standpoint of the power that a good night's rest, that a well-rested body, how it can increase your performance, increase your health. But before we get into that, why sleep?
Well, sleep is food for the brain, and without adequate sleep, we will readily die or die early. So we have to learn to value sleep. We have to treat sleep not as a luxury, but it's a necessity, Barb. It has serious deleterious consequences. Physiologically, you increase your risk of heart attack and stroke, high blood pressure in other words, type 2 diabetes, depression, periodontal disease, cancer. It is a cause of colorectal and breast cancer and obesity, and I know you're going to be talking about obesity.
We are, but did you just hear what he said? You can honestly say that scientists have determined that lack of sleep can contribute to cancer?
Absolutely, to breast cancer, colorectal cancer, shift workers who are in the light too much. They don't get enough melatonin in their body. 40% increase in colorectal and breast cancer of workers on the night shift simply because of their lifestyle.
We want to talk about increasing one's performance, and we're going to save that for the second segment. But I got to ask you, can you ever have too much sleep?
No, that's a myth. Unless you are clinically depressed or have a brain disorder like elephantiasis, you can't sleep too much. Now, a lot of people anecdotally will say, Jim, you don't know what you're talking about. And my teenager will come home from college and they'll sleep 10, 12 hours or 14 hours, and they wake up and they say, oh, I'm so tired. I feel worse than when I only sleep 5 or 6 hours. The reason is when you wake up after 12 or 14 hours of sleep, you're waking up later in the day, your body temperature has risen, and you feel warm, you feel groggy, you feel out of sorts. But if we give you vigilance, cognitive, perceptual tasks, you're really not sleepy. The body will take what it needs.
Isn't the body an amazing thing? So rhythm is really important too, in the sense that you have some type of rhythm, going to bed at a certain time, waking up at a certain time?
You must go to bed and get up at the same time, Monday through Monday, including weekends. We have one biological clock, not one for the work week, one for the weekends. So you have to synchronize the time you spend in bed with the sleepy phase of your circadian rhythm. Otherwise, you're playing ping pong with your mind and your body. Your body doesn't know when to shut down. So you've got to be regular.
That's so interesting. So the big question is it good then just to get, say you're really running crazy, I can only get a little bit of sleep. Is that better to get a few hours of shut-eye as opposed to none at all?
Yes, any sleep is good, but a few hours is not good. I mean, Janis Joplin used to say, sleep is a waste of time, and I don't want to do it. I might miss a good party. I'll sleep when I'm dead. She died at 27.
Not to laugh, but you're right. There are some There's a reason for those kinds of things, isn't there? 4-hour increments. I have heard that if you can have a window of 4 hours, then well, there's a lot of myths about sleep out there, aren't there?
There are, Barb. And that 4 on, 4 off comes from the military and solo navigation sailors that are going around the world with minimal sleep. And so they figure 4 hours on, 4 hours off, I can survive. I don't know any corporation that will let you go 4 hours on, 4 hours off. And furthermore, although you can sustain sleep, it does something to memory. You need one long block of consolidated time, preferably between 7.5 and 8.5 hours, to be at your A game, to be cognitively sharp. And by distributing sleep in these short blocks, you don't get all of the physiological processes and neurological processes necessary to retain information, to be a critical thinker, and to be creative.
So let's talk power nap then. You coined this phrase, you said 37 years ago. And there's meditation. A lot of people will maybe just take a break to meditate for a while, and they say they feel as rested as if they've slept for 8 hours. Bob?
Well, no, but meditation, yoga, very, very good for reducing the total amount of sleep you have, but not equivalent to 8 hours. But about 20% of good meditation time is stage 2 sleep. Now, the experts, from the top of the mountains in India, they say, when we hook them up and they say, oh, I know why you need less sleep. 20% of your meditation was sleep. No, I was not. I was meditating. I don't care what you call it, Barb. Sleep is sleep, and God bless you. So meditation is good. It reduces stress, the #1 cause of insomnia. Yoga is great. That's all fine. But a good 7.5 to 8.5 hours of sleep for adults, or 9.25 from puberty to 24 years of age, is necessary to be at your A game all day long.
Speaking about being at our A game, you have worked with athletes, you're working with the NBA, you're working with a lot of professional athletes, Olympians, about performance. Well, I want to kind of get into that, but you mentioned a stage 2 sleep. So how significant is the quality of the sleep that you get versus the quantity?
They're both inexorably linked. We need a long enough sleep to meet our sleep requirements so we're energetic and wide awake all day long. Then we need these different stages for different reasons. Stage 4, delta sleep, for body and cell, brain cell restoration. Stage 2 sleep, we'll hold it for the next segment, but there's something that happens in stage 2, which is predominant from the 6th to the 8th hour of the night, that can change your life forever athletically.
Change your life forever athletically, which is what we're going to do when we return with Kentucky Outlook and sleep consultant, Dr. James Maas. Stay with us. Sleeping to win and sleeping for success. We're talking about sleep today as we welcome back to the program international sleep consultant, Dr. James Maas. You taught at Cornell for 48 years. You recently retired. So, I mean, you have a whole other life, but then you got into sleep and it intrigued you, and you've written books about it, but you've also, not only the intrigue, but you've also seen results. That if people get the right amount of sleep at the right time, makes a difference.
Right. I've been working since 1969 in this field as one of the early sleep educators, and teaching a class as I did, which grew to 2,000 students in the concert hall
Waiting list.
At Cornell. Teaching at 10 in the morning, you look out there and before I even said the first word, some students would be dropping off. Either they were getting up early for athletic practice, or they were just out all night carousing, or just couldn't go to sleep, or what have you. So I started to get interested not only in wakefulness, but in sleep, what they should be doing about a third of their lives. But the typical college student thinks they're sleeping 7 hours, but they're actually barely sleeping 6. And they need 9.25 sleep from puberty to 24 years of age to be at your A game, to be alert, energetic all day long. You need 9.25 hours of sleep. And these students have like a 3-hour deficit every single night.
Yes, so they're starting from a
so I started sleep education with them, started showing film clips that we made on sleep, asking about their sleep. And we found out that by educating them on good sleep hygiene, moving them from 6 to even 7, much less 8 hours of sleep, grade point average went up, injuries went down, stimulant use went down, athletic victories went way up, mood went up, satisfaction with life and well-being went up. Everything was in the right direction. Every time we've done that, private schools all over the world, public schools, we've seen that amazing success rate.
Good sleep hygiene. We had a graphic that we're putting up, and it's about how much sleep you need. And children, what about youngsters? What, you know, in the 5 and under category?
Well, a lot of kids need 10 when they're newborns. They might need, 11, 12, 14. And the need actually goes a little bit down until you hit puberty, and then bang, it goes up again, right through till, as I say, 24, 25, 26 years of age. Then as senior citizens, there's a myth. Well, I used to sleep like a baby middle age. Now I'm 70. I'm not sleeping well at all. But I don't need as much sleep. The senior citizen needs just as much as the middle-aged person, but due to changes in the brain, hardening of the arteries, drugs they might be on for rheumatoid arthritis, for high blood pressure, for type 2 diabetes, might interfere with their sleep. So they're waking up very early in the morning and they think, well, I just might not need all that sleep. But they're out napping for 2 hours in the afternoon, and then they can't sleep at night because they nap too long in the afternoon.
Because they nap too long. So what I'm hearing you say is you really need to listen to your body.
Yes.
When your body tells you it's tired, pay attention.
Absolutely.
So let's talk some more. Before the break, you got into the different stages of sleep. Many of us know REM, rapid eye movement, which is a deeper sleep. But you talked about a stage 2, a stage 4, and how to be more productive once you can tap into and receive and get more of that sleep.
Right. To be psychologically, physiologically, and behaviorally helpful, you have to go through 5 different stages of sleep every single night, and most of us are getting 2 or 3 at best. So we have wakefulness, and then we go into stage 1 and 2 sleep, where the brain waves get slower and breathing gets slower, heart rate gets slower, all the way down to stage 4, delta sleep, which is deep sleep, where it restores body and brain cells. And deep sleep happens within the first hour or so of the night, and as the night progresses, sleep does get lighter and lighter and lighter. But many people aren't getting to deep sleep because of senior citizenship, or type A personalities don't get enough for any delta or deep sleep. Stage 2 sleep is predominant near the end of the night, and it is a stage that we've always known about, but it was only about 30 years ago that we recognized something very special was happening between the 6th and 8th hour of the night, where stage 2 is predominant. They're called sleep spindles, and if you listen to the EEG recordings of your brain amplified, the signals in stage 2 go like this. They go we knew about, since 1952, the existence of what I'm calling or sleep spindles.
Okay.
But we didn't know until fairly recently what they were for. They're the key to your golf game, to your athleticism, to your musical instrument playing ability. And what they represent is a cascade of calcium, which you can't take in pill form, into the motor cortex, where it binds together sequences of athletic or musical events requiring hand-eye or hand-foot coordination. So if you're working on a piano arpeggio, if you have to think, okay, here, then this is next, the orchestra is going to be gone. Likewise, in figure skating, if you're trying to do a triple rotation and you have to think with each rotation, where's my head, where are my arms, where are my skates, you'll never get to third rotation. So this cascade of calcium binds into the motor cortex events that you have practiced under the eye of your coach, so that they are in short-term automatic muscle memory. And for example, a golf pro will tell you, you can only have one swing thought. You can't think of 32 or 35 things you have to do in the second and a half from the time you draw the driver back till the moment of impact. You have to start the sequence, and everything else has to be automatic. So in short-term memory, at your golf lesson, within an hour you're hitting the ball very well. And the next day you're out in the course and you can't hit the ball for anything. Well, what happened? Or what didn't happen? What didn't happen is you didn't sleep 8 hours. You didn't get the sleep spindles in the motor cortex that bound that entire sequence of motor events into what we call motor muscle memory. So we take athletes who are sleeping like a lot of the pros do, certainly the college athletes do, and the high school athletes, move them from 6 to 8 hours, and we see 20 to 40% improvement overnight in their athleticism.
In their athleticism, and getting rid of those morning practices.
Any coach that has morning practices ought to be fired. First of all, especially at colleges, high schools, it's crazy because what you're doing is robbing the kids of very needed sleep. Now, the teenage brain is set to go to sleep maximally at 3 in the morning and to wake up at 11 in the morning because the growth hormone gets secreted at midnight, therefore blocking melatonin, delaying sleep time. So although you tell your teen, look, 10 o'clock, get upstairs, go to bed, even though they're the most tired segment of the population, they can't sleep. It's not their fault. So then when the coaches have them wake up at 6 to get taped to go out on the field, it's insane. Every time we have cut out early morning practice, the records have gone up.
The records have gone up. We're sleeping to win. We're just about out of time. I wish we could get more with you, but let's talk pillows. Let's talk mattresses very quickly. How important are those things?
They're key. You can sleep on a $50,000 Haston Swedish mattress, and if you have an old lousy pillow, you're going to have a lousy night's sleep. So you have to get a pillow that keeps your head, your neck, and your spinal cord in a straight line as if you were standing up. So give your pillow a pillow test. Fold it in half. If it doesn't spring forward instantly by itself, you have a dead pillow. So throw it out or put it in the guest room. But don't use it yourself.
Okay.
Go to a place like Bed Bath & Beyond online, and you will find side, back, and stomach sleeping pillows designed for how you start the night and for your body shape. You can increase the depth and length of your sleep by about 30%. So just look under my last name, MAAS, in keywords, and you'll see 5 pillows that are guaranteed not only to put you in the right position, but they're made with silver threads that will keep your head cool, which will bring on sleep quicker and make it deeper and longer.
And so mattress, pillows, lights, what about it? What about stimulation, leaving the TV on?
95% of us use electronics within an hour of bedtime. We're watching TV, we're surfing the internet, and the worst thing you can do is use an iPad. All of these things produce blue daylight spectrum light. Therefore, blocking the flow of melatonin when you do turn off the lights, so you're going to delay sleep onset by as long as 45 minutes. So turn off all electronics in the bedroom within an hour of sleep, or get yourself a pair of light blocking, they look like sunglasses, but they're not, light blocking blue daylight spectrum glasses, and you can put those glasses on, see the iPad, and not get the melatonin blocked.
So leave us with some words of wisdom.
Sleep is food for the brain.
And we'll leave it at
You will lengthen your life and your health and your happiness.
and your happiness. Be happy, sleeping to win, and be productive. Dr. James Maas, it was a
Thanks,
pleasure
Barb.
to meet you.
Thank you.
Don't go away, because when we come back on Kentucky Outlook, we're going to take a look at another epidemic, obesity, the weight of the nation. Next, stay with us. Kentucky Outlook continues. I'm Barbara Deep. Well, we're talking about epidemics today. We were talking about this sleep deprivation epidemic, but now we're going to be talking about obesity. It's a national epidemic. And recently, HBO did a series called Weight of the Nation, and this was something that the community of Bowling Green and the surrounding area bought into and wanted to help promote. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that, and maybe this will change the way you do business in your life. We're welcoming to the program Cecilia Watkins, who is with WKU's Department of Public Health. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
In addition, we are joined by Dennis Cheney, who's the director of the Barren River District Health Department. So when we talk about the Barren River District, that is the 7 contiguous counties?
There's actually 8.
8, okay.
There's 10 counties in our area development district. Allen and Monroe are independent health departments. The other 8 make up the service area for Barren River District Health Department.
So having said that, when I said it was a regional effort, I mean, this is something that you hooked onto and said we need to raise awareness. You had a town hall forum where you invited different people to come in and just talk about the obesity issue. But before we go any further, what do we mean when we say obese? How does one define obesity?
Well, if you're above BMI of over 30, then you're considered obese. And Kentucky, unfortunately, has been in the leading states in that arena in the last few years. So we're really wanting to address that issue to lower it.
So when you say BMI, you're talking about body mass index of over 30%, you are considered obese. And so Kentucky, we're right up there at the top. So all the more reason for certainly a district health department to want to get involved, for a university and for health. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, we are concerned mainly because of the health outcomes associated with obesity. The population health issues surrounding diabetes, cardiovascular disease, other sorts of health issues associated with being overweight or obese, and the cost it is to our healthcare system and to society at large.
That's a good point. You know, the gentleman who was with us earlier, Dr. Maas, was talking about sleep and its importance in health as well, that they can have a direct correlation to cancer by not getting enough sleep, but certainly being obese can lead to a lot of health issues, public health issues.
Oh yeah, definitely. And my area, which is worksite health promotion, you know, that's one of the areas that we've addressed with obesity. And if you look at the national obesity rate, which is about 67%, if you look at that per Kentucky and you look at our working population, you're talking about 1.3 million Kentuckians that either are overweight or obese in the workforce today, which causes a lot of problems with absenteeism, presenteeism, where you're there but you don't really feel like being there, you know, you really don't do your job very well. Things like that really move up the healthcare cost.
You know, with all the research and everything that's been done over the years, why can't we find a cure for this, right? Why can't we just take a pill and not have to worry about this?
Well, one of the things that we have done, and it's important, I think, to note this in the discussion, from a regional perspective, we actually, Barren River District Health Department, facilitated a group of leaders that represented the healthcare industry, work sites, elected officials, schools, and about 2 years ago, actually in September, started a process that was called the Barren River Community Health Planning Council. We conducted a community health assessment. One of the things that is important about that is that all those different groups are doing great things as it relates to increasing access to nutritious foods and as it relates to increasing access for opportunities for physical activity. But we were working independently, almost in a silo. So you ask, why is this important? Pulling all those resources together and putting together a plan, if you will, that each of those groups can buy into and support, creating objectives going forward to address the obesity issue, whether it be in the work site, whether it be in the schools, whether it be in our healthcare delivery system. And that's exactly the work that this group took on. And actually, the Weight of the Nation Forum was one of the strategic objectives that came out of that group's work over the past 2 years.
So do you think it's an issue of awareness? Someone looks in the mirror and they say, yeah, I need to lose a few pounds, but really don't know how to get from point A to point B. So you're saying by the community coming together and so many different resources saying at your workplace, you know what, we're going to have a program, we're going to encourage you to get some exercise, to eat better.
And it's very important that they're made aware. Awareness is one of the first steps you have to have, because if people, you know, you get used to being, you know, 10 or 15 pounds overweight and all of a sudden it becomes 25 or 30 and you get used to that, then all of a sudden you need something to tell you, hey, you know, I'm a little bit over the limit now and it's going to start affecting my health, my job, things I do. So yes, we need, as one of the things that we've done is to develop a worksite health promotion website that's just we've just opened it up in August, and it's there strictly for work sites to get on, learn how to put in wellness programs, to work on things like obesity, and we're promoting that now, trying to get that statewide for all the work sites in Kentucky so they can have access to help for awareness, for education, and for webinars, things like that to help them.
No excuse not to participate.
Right.
Now, when you deal with a district health department like the Barren River District Health Department, there are so many people, and the community is diverse in a lot of ways. How do you then target a message like this so that it reaches all?
Well, we attempt, and that is a very difficult dilemma. We're very intentional with the groups in which we focus. We mainly work with faith communities, schools, and with work sites, hoping that we have the opportunity to increase awareness through health promotion activities, evidence-based opportunities for folks to get involved in nutrition activities, physical activities, etc. But the other thing that I think is important for us to note is the advancement of policy issues, Dr. Watkins, as it relates to changes that maybe schools may take, as an example, as it relates to using sweets for rewards, as it relates to maybe improving school lunches from nutritional content by removing deep fat fryers from their kitchens, working with their teachers to not take away recess minutes as a punishment. And so over the course of time, we've worked with school officials and administration to understand that those types of policy issues, they can advance in such a way that help contribute not only to the awareness, but an environment where folks are able to live healthier lives, especially our school kids.
And is it making a difference through obviously doing programs like this and doing the town forum and the town hall that you held? So it is making a difference?
I think we're in the curve of the road starting to turn a little bit, because I know Kentucky was 4th in obesity, not in a good way, 4th on the bad end, and now we're down to 9, I believe. So we are doing better. I think we're really going to have to address the childhood obesity issue, because that's a little bit harder, because children, they do what they see their families do.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to change that. But I think between the work sites, the healthcare place, the community, and the schools working together and really making people aware of how important this issue is, that we can make a difference.
And leave us with some words of wisdom, Dennis Cheney. You run the Barren River District Health Department. You have a diverse audience out there.
For most of us, we often don't change our behaviors unless one of two things, really. Actually, as it relates to health, maybe we've had some sort of adverse health event where we sit up straight and say, oh my gosh, I've got to make a change. I want to live longer. Or maybe we're incentivized in some way. Maybe it's through some sort of a health insurance program, or maybe your premium is lower if you quit smoking, or if you do some sort of a health assessment, and then over the course of time, maybe you've decreased your triglycerides or you've improved your cholesterol. So in those two respects, unless those two things are going on, generally we as a society will not change our behavior. And so the words of wisdom is, even if those two things don't apply to you, think about the future opportunity that you may have to develop, become a pre-diabetic and not even really know it. And think about children and grandchildren and your opportunity to contribute to your church and your family and society, and let that motivate you to make a change.
Let that be the motivation. Thank you so much for that good information. We've been talking with Dennis Cheney and Cecilia Watkins about obesity. And our special thanks to Dr. James Maas, who joined us earlier in the program, the International Sleep Consultant. Until next time, I'm Barbara Dee. Thanks for joining us here on Kentucky Outlook.